Hello everyone and welcome back to the RedSeaPodcast. After honestly what I can only describe as the most perfect of ways this match day could go. And yeah, honestly, I think everyone is more than happy. I am sadly solo today because something came up for Gav, but he'll be back very soon. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy as always the quick recap we'll do and the talk about our path to being champions. Without delaying everything quickly, as always, if you are new here, uh, everything is down below that you will need to find for the show. Further announcements for everything should be coming in the week. You can freely comment anything you want, message me for whatever you may want. Uh, Big win for the team is honestly an understatement. Uh, it's a win combined with Ike's loss. This is a win that almost mathematically crowned the champions as well. But this is a win that basically has us with one hand on the cup, if that wasn't confirmed already. Uh, Honestly, and yes, without further, I really do. As I said, anything you may want to find for the shows down below. You can comment anything you want, whether you're listening on Spotify after, on YouTube now, or on YouTube afterwards. Comment anything you want, any comments on what I say, any questions, any opinions. And if you are here with me now, or if you catch any solo shows in the future, the link to join me and hop on live and share your opinions will always be in the chat, so don't be afraid to do so. The company, of course, will be appreciated on my end as well. And as always, this show is judge free and open to any discussions, whether that's agreement or honestly disagreement. Let's get into the game slowly but surely. Uh, Finally, four. Honestly, finally four. Been waiting to say that for a while. That we scored four against Panathinaikos, but we finally scored four. The game could have been much calmer if it wasn't for the penalty and the honestly minimal miscommunication and misdirection in defending, which led, of course, to the first goal, and then it was the penalty from Ioannidis. But yeah, could it have been 4-0? Yeah, it could have easily been 4-0. Is there a reason to question why it wasn't 4-0? No, not in the slightest, because the win is what matters, and the fact that we scored four is what matters. Of course, the goals coming from Roman Yaremchuk, who, as I said on Twitter, I'll quote myself on here as well, the man that gave us the win, which guaranteed us Champions League football, is the man that gave us a win that has us with with one hand on the league cup. Uh, Honestly, such a crucial player. I was talking about it with Gal after the second leg against Bodo, and I'm sure he would agree once again that as much of an unpredictable X factor Yaremchuk has been this season, he had given us one win then and another win now. that is enough for him to write his name into the cult hero ish section of this team. And honestly, at this point, maybe even in the what if section of this team, because we all know that Roman Yaremchuk will probably leave in the summer with the with Betancourt coming in because I forgot the goddamn word in English. Uh, and yeah, with Betancourt coming in, I really don't see Roman Yaremchuk here as a third choice, but he's done more than enough to feel loved and appreciated by the fans, and he's done more than enough to be remembered in in a very fond way, and to be remembered in a very grateful way. I think is one of the better words to put it. Of course, one of Yaremchuk's goals was the funniest thing ever because I had barely turned on the game because I was watching the end of the Ike Paup game. I caught the last like 1 minute of that, and I barely turned on the game, and I immediately hear that we've scored, and I'm like, what? But of course, the Dragowski howler that will go down in meme history of the Super League for years and years to come. Yaremchuk, like another Karim Benzema in that cursed Champions League final, scores, capitalizes off what should be honestly a Dragowski assist. It was honestly too identical to the the Karius mistake with Benzema. It was absolutely hilarious now that the side they support scored the damn goal, but I can't lie, it did give me a bit, just the tiniest bit of PTSD back to the Champions League final. And Yaremchuk's second was honestly impressive. It was an extremely well placed header, something that we don't really see that much anymore from our attackers. Of course, par Ayub El Kabi, because I'm convinced that Ayub El Kabi can score perfectly with every part of his body. But aside from Ayub, we haven't really seen uh, a successful header and such a well placed one at that from an attacker for a while. So yeah, it was very, very impressive. And honestly, I think uh, how this Yarmchuk run can end is that he proves to be way more crucial than anyone expected, and I'm sure he'll play a big part as we near the end of the season more and more. And if he wasn't that inconsistent with outside of football reasons, I'm sure he could have done way, way more for us. Then we'll see, of course, what the future holds. He may stay, I may be completely wrong, but we'll see what the future holds. And segueing from impressive, what a goal and what an absolutely wonderful performance by Chiquinho. The goal was mesmerizing, honestly. I don't think that even some of our boys expected it. Chiquinho took it upon himself to absolutely humiliate the Panathinaikos defense. I'm not sure who it was that he made it, but he did make someone, and he proceeds to. I don't know if it was a toe poke. I don't know if it was just one of the most impressive. finesse shots I've seen lately in football, at least. But he proceeds to score what surely is goal of the week because come the fuck on. Uh, and honestly, solidifies and tops off one of his better games. And for the consistency that Chiquinho has in every single position that he plays. Saying that today was one of his better games just shows how incredible every aspect of today was, from covering the midfield to uh, running back when needed to his absolutely magnetic, magical passes, and of course, as I said, topping it off with that Zidane-like run. What a player! And I honestly think that Chiquinho is one of those players that while he will always get a lot of appreciation because he is one of our most talented, better performing players in the squad, and he has been, he'll never truly be as appreciated as he perhaps really deserves. If that makes sense, do tell me if you agree or you don't. And of course, the goal that I can't forget to mention, Mr. Instant Impact, Mr. Clutch, the man that made an absolute joke of 30 million striker in many quotes if the irony in my voice wasn't really apparent. Made an absolute joke and dog walked Fotis Ioannidis, and of course that is Babis Kostoulas coming in the 65th, scoring in the 83rd, assisted by Rodinei. Rodinei, who I'll get onto in a bit, because Rodinei had a bit of a weird game for me, but we'll get onto that in a bit. But yes, incredible goal from Mr. Clutch, the winner, of course, solidifying a game that was closer than it should have been, and solidifying what will, par a fucking miracle, be his first title with a team of his heart, with the professional team of the club of his heart, because we can never ever forget or not mention the Youth League last year. Honestly, how good is Buddies, Christ? Uh, I will give a shout out to a good friend of this channel and a good supporter of this channel and someone I admire a lot. You all know him, of course. That's Kostas Llanos. He has talked about the interest that Babis has from the Premier League. And honestly, who can blame? United has already gotten a negative answer. The club has said that Babis and uh, Mouzakitis are not for sale this summer. And honestly, if you were to ask me, it is the best scenario to keep them. And I'm not just saying that selfishly because I want them to play for us more. But for me, it's the best case scenario for their development as well to keep them, let them develop under two coaches that they both know. I know I started talking about Babis, but of course, I mean Babis and Mouzakitis. Let them develop under two coaches they know and love, let them play Champions League without the pressure of some of the biggest clubs in Europe, and then let them go, let them flourish, let them get the success they absolutely deserve. And honestly, when they go, I really hope they go together. I really hope these two stick together like glue in their career because I know that if they are together, they'll succeed to levels that we can't even imagine. What did I think of the penalty that Panathinaikos got? I'd love to sit here and tell you that it wasn't, but it was a penalty. Uh, if I'm not completely wrong, it is Danny Garcia that gave the penalty away. Uh, Even I thought that it wasn't a penalty. I asked on Twitter that where the hell was the penalty, but people pointed it out to me, and it's more than fair enough that it was given. Was it deserved? God no, but it was a penalty. You have to sit here and say that it was a penalty. In hindsight, at the very least. Also, I hope I'm not lagging. Someone please let me know. I know my setup to check if everything is going okay is more laggy than the YouTube setup, but please someone let me know that everything is running smoothly. Uh, and again, slight intermission. I know the upgrade on my camera is a bit delayed, but that's coming very, very soon. I wish it was in my control. Καλησπέρα φίλε, καλησπέρα ξανά και σε ευχαριστώ πολύ για όλη την υποστήριξη. Και όπως είπα στην αρχή, 4 στο βάζελο είναι λίγα και θα πρέπει να είχαν φάει ή 5 ή 6, εγώ στην αρχή νόμιζα θα φάνε 6. Αλλά επιτέλους 4. Εγώ αυτό έχω να πω. Right back to it after the habit that is that hello now and again just a reason to say how grateful I am for all your support, of course. If you guys see, should be like down here, I guess, not the comment. Uh, we're closer and closer. We're now 27 away from 200. And yeah, if you like what you see and you are new to this channel, please subscribe. It helps the channel massively. And as always, I'll try and give you all back tenfold in content. Maybe your comment on goal line technology being introduced. Forgot, completely forgot. But yeah, goal line technology and the semi-automated offside technology was introduced from today and will stick around. I heard there was a bit of controversy in the Ike Pauk game with a cancel goal for offside. So I can't really speak on how it worked because in our game it wasn't really needed. There wasn't any real close calls sidewise. I think the goal they checked the most for an offside was Yaremchuk's header, and even that took like a minute. So if someone can fill me in on how it went on other games, because I haven't seen, but yeah, for us, I don't have much of a comment because it wasn't needed in the slightest. I was very positive and very excited when I heard that we finally are getting goal line technology and uh, the offside technology. But I hope to God that it works better and better as we go on because if it's just another controversy, then fuck me, is it gonna get even worse? Uh, but yeah, speaking of other games, before I get back to it, I just want to shout out a very nice moment in the Ike game where a kid that beat cancer uh, basically celebrated it and took photos with, I'm pretty sure it was Costadelias and Pilios, so that was always very nice to see. And I read also that Costadelias got standing ovation in the OPAP Arena, so that's always nice to see as well, because we talked about other games. If Yaremchuk scored that goal in the Premier League, it gets set for 5 minutes and then still find a way to disallow it. Isn't that the goddamn truth? Because Jesus Christ, uh, I can speak for Villa as well. That I'm the team from England that I do uh, support myself, which is Liverpool. It's two teams that have been severely screwed over by checks like that. So it's more than safe to say that the Premier is something when it comes to stuff like that, and I don't want to end up like the controversy in the Premier League because it is honestly arguably worse than here. But yeah, getting right back to it after that uh, very positive talk about our star boys or wonder kids, I of course want to mention the man that I will die on the hill got dog walked by Costolas and Pirola. Segueing quickly to that before I get into the rant and the negatives, what a game. Lorenzo Pirola has turned out to be arguably the biggest talent we've had in the centre back position in the last few years. Lorenzo Pirola, of course, the captain of the under 21s in Italy. And if reports are to be believed, in the next national break, Lorenzo Pirola will be called up with the Italy's men's side. Uh, it's been said that Spalletti likes him a lot, and he's one of the players of this team that you have to just look at and say, wow, honestly, bodied Fotis today. And I can't say that with enough force in my voice. He bodied Fortunatus today. And honestly, when has he not been good? A player that's played both centre back and even left back before Bruno came in. A player that's given heart, soul, and tears for this jersey. As he said himself, he absolutely loves it here, from the team to the club in general to the fans. He said it was the best decision of his life, and for that he'll be ever much more respected in my book. And honestly, there isn't a single bad word to say about Lorenzo Pirola. And just like our other wonder games, because Pirola is a star boy himself with the brightest future in probably the biggest of clubs in the Serie A. There has already been confirmed interest by Juventus. Uh, so yeah, I really hope he sticks with us through the summer and gets a season of Champions League at least, gets to lift one more title with us, and honestly, after that, time will tell. Transfer talk isn't really something I'll get into, but of course, I hope we keep our most promising players yet, because if I started talking about transfers from the 31st of God the March, we'd all go insane. So yeah, I won't do that both to you all and myself, because we all know how every transfer period goes. But of course, there will be a special episode for transfers, as there always is. And I have to give a shout to Pirola's partner in the back today, and that, of course, is Julian Biancon. Another self-sacrificing performance, not as good of a performance as Pirola, but more than good enough. And what topped it off for me, if you all haven't seen, is when Fotis got that red and the stadium erupted. Julian blew a kiss at him, and that was honestly the most appropriate reaction I could have seen. And finally, I'll segue into it because I have been trying to avoid talking about him, but after what happened with Rodney, you have to, after a point. The disrespect, the theatrics, the diving, and just the fake, just ballsy character that Ioannidis puts up is so fucking insufferable. And he did top it off today by threatening Rodney in the most ridiculous way possible after he grabbed him by the collar and the ref separated them, just saying that uh, I'll see you outside in the parking lot. Like if Fotis tried to do something off the field, he wouldn't either get dog walked, as I said, off the field as well and be put in his place, or he wouldn't run away. I'll see you outside is such a high school insult. And honestly, the fact that a player like Fotis, who Panathinaikos fans pride on him being such a great player, such an amazing striker. He's about to get passed on goals by Roman Yaremchuk, by the way. Uh, Such a great player, such an amazing striker. The fact that Fotis, after having a good season, has written the high of that good season. And Fotis is a player with quality. I'm not going to say that he doesn't have quality. Of course, Ioannidis has quality, but the fact that he's ridden at high of the good season he had, and now only sees goals from the penalty spot, and him being one of the most ridiculous characters on the field and one of the biggest divers in the league is honestly a downfall that many didn't expect, and it's honestly shameful. It really is, because as things stand, to talk about the Ethniki a bit as well, and I will support this opinion, uh, Photioannidis right now is third in the pecking order at best. If Babis Kostoulas is chosen to play as a striker in the Ethniki, Fotis Ioannidis doesn't make the squad for me. It's Pavlidis, it's Douvikas, it's Kostoulas if he plays as a striker, and then it's Ioannidis right now. And the red card, isn't just karmic justice at its finest. It's so poetic that it's Kostulas that got him sent off as well. The 17-year-old that's more of a man and better of a player than Fotis will ever be. And that's just the truth. I don't really want to dwell on any negative performances today. So, of course, there was struggling, especially down the left side. Ortega struggled a lot. Zelson was pretty forgettable today as well, but it's not even worthy, in my opinion, to focus on that. Costinha had an amazing game, and the thing with Rodinei had such a weird game because you can't sit here and say that Rodinei had a bad game when he finished the game with two assists. Attacking wise, Rodinei was perfect, and Rodinei did, of course, what he does best and made sure that the Panathinaikos players went insane and self-sabotaged with his mind games. Uh, but defensively, this was such an inconsistent game for Rodinei. And honestly, thank God we had Costinha at right back. Because down the left, with a Selson that didn't run back for shit, and an Ortega that was struggling, it looked like Vagianidis had the game of his goddamn life. And of course, that was until, and I'll segue right into that, Bruno came in. Bruno, of course, barely resting from his national team duties, coming in and putting in a shift of 15-minute perfection. I honestly am so excited for this player. And if we see the league uh, in the next match day, and even if we don't see it in the next match day, which I don't think we will because I don't think Panathinaikos are going to beat I. But even in two match days where there will be three match days left with nothing to really play for, I think Bruno should start uh, in, if not all the games, the majority because he deserves it. It will help him massively, both performance and confidence wise. And Ortega needs a dumb rest. Like, let's not lie to ourselves. Ortega has been run to the ground, and starting Bruno with nothing really to play for, with the league basically being yours, is the most risk-free thing that the team can do because you either get a new starting left back permanently if Bruno blows the roof of the place, or you get Ortega fully rested again and going into pre-season with a point to prove, and you have the biggest quality in left back depth that you've had ever since arguably the Tsimikas Koutres do, if not better, and you have the addition of Nikos Athanasiou coming in from Atromitos. So you're more than covered at left back. It's it, it's such a win-win scenario. Going on to the midfielders now, and that of course consisted of Mozakitis and Dani Garcia to start the game. Dani may have given away a penalty. If again, if I'm not completely mistaken, someone do correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the penalty was given on Dani Garcia. Uh, but he had such a quality performance as well. He did all the quote unquote dirty work perfectly. He was the absolute anchor that he always is in the midfield, but the only main problem, really, is that he was just a bit slow, which is expected because that's the playstyle of Danny Garcia. The playstyle of Danny Garcia is being that unbeatable anchor in the midfield that does all the dirty work, stops the through balls, does the tactical fouls when needed, gets that odd yellow that may be more often than not sometimes, and with the perfect partner next to him, his quote unquote lack of speed is covered perfectly. And today it got covered perfectly twice because not only was Moussakitis amazing, just a rebound from a bad run of games before the national break. He went into the SLGR, put in an incredible shift against Scotland, made the whole of Europe, if not the football world, talk along with all the talent the SLGR has right now. Came back with a point to prove, a title to win, and once again today was the Musagitis we all know and love that killed and controlled the Panathinaikos midfield. And of course, the man that came in for him was Santiago Esse. Santiago Esse, whose role has been changing this season. Sometimes he starts, sometimes he's on the bench. But again, that proves so incredibly the amazing depth and the amazing cover we have in the midfield. Santiago Esse who gave a whole new air to the midfield, a whole new air of confidence to the game, and a whole new air of control. Again, more specifically to the midfield, but both defensively and attackingly, covering Garcia perfectly and giving Chiquinho some resting time as well. The last sub of the game was the sub that didn't really do much. That was Carmo, but it's not the fact that he didn't do much uh, because he did something bad. He didn't do much because he didn't have time. And honestly, I didn't even expect Carmo to play because again, he came back. What was it? I think Carmo came back last as well. He came back from Angola like 2 days ago. So I'm glad he's fit and ready to play. And the only man that I haven't really touched on is the man that once again went with CSMG, got his deserved start, put in two wonderful performances, conceding only a penalty across two legs against Scotland, came back and proved that he's getting better and better, and that's Kostas Tsoulakis. You all know that I admire Tsoulakis a lot. You all know that I love to credit the goalkeeper, especially if it is someone like Kostas Tsoulakis. And you all know how terrified I am when I report interest from clubs like Bayer Leverkusen, because God, I don't know what we'll do when we lose Tsoulakis. He's such a must to this team. He's been such a factor ever since last year. The summer will be long as shit. But yeah, that was more or less it game wise. As I mentioned earlier, we may even win the title from next game if we beat Pauk and Ike lose against Panathinaikos. We're champions. We'll be crowned champions up in Tuba. But again, as I said, I don't think that will happen. And even if it doesn't happen the next game, it will happen on match day 3 of the playoffs against AEK. I'm pretty sure the first game against AEK is in the Karaiskaki, but maybe I'm mistaken. I remember talking about it with my amazing girlfriend, but I don't remember what we saw. Someone correct me if you have it pulled up. Uh, but yeah, maybe if I'm correct and the first game against AEK is in the Karaiskaki, maybe it's more poetic that it happens at our home and the title comes back to where it belongs. Thank you all for joining me today. Thank you all for a very active chat. And honestly, thank you all so much for all your incredible support. Getting closer and closer to more and more milestones. 2025 promises to be bigger than ever for this show, and I can promise you that this community will forever be something I hold dear to my heart, forever something I will aim to grow in the best of ways, and forever something I will give back tenfold to. Thank you all so much. Busy week coming. I'll see you all soon.